a desire, I believe, for more connection. I think that's what is at the root of the technological advances, is that we all have a desire for connection, an innate spiritual desire to be connected and to feel that connection with each other, with God, with our higher self. So when technology started going along, I saw a parallel between the unfoldment of technology and the unfoldment of our own desires for connection. It wasn't that long ago where the technological progress was you had your desktop computer just at home. And then this marvel happened when I was working a few years into business, where you could network computers in the same office together. Remember that? Woo! That was a big deal, that you could network with 5 or 6 other people and look at the same information, and how out of the box thinking that was and how big that was. But that was only the beginning. Because as we know, it went from that network to the dial-up, to the internet, to broadband, to Wi-Fi, to this whole idea of hotspots. You know what a hotspot is? All right, I'll tell you. Let's say you're so far away, you've got your iPad or you got a computer and you want to hook up to the internet and you can't because you're not in a Wi-Fi zone. So what you can do is you can take your phone and you can create a wireless information network on your phone that you will connect to your iPad, and all of a sudden you're connected to the world once again. Wherever you are that has cell service, and that's pretty much almost everywhere now, you can do that. Now to me, I look at that kind of thing and I'm thinking, this is like Star Trek. You know? I'm waiting for Captain Kirk to pop up and say, I told you so. It seems so unbelievable that we can have that kind of connection, yet we do. So that begs the question for me, well, if we've got all this desire to connect with the news around the world and everything that's happening, what about our connection to Spirit? How do we stay connected to Spirit? Well, I think about the history of unity, and one of the things I love about unity is that unity is not afraid of technology. They are early adapters to utilize all different kind of mediums to allow people the opportunity to have that higher level connection. So there was a time when the prayer would happen in Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders, in their living room. And then they started up Silent Unity, and people would send them letters, and they would send letters back for prayers. And then when the phone came out, they were an early adapter. They got a phone. People started calling them for prayer requests. They went on television as one of the first people to utilize television in public service announcements that was about the daily word that went on for years. Unity was the first spiritual practice that actually talked about spirituality on the radio. And now on the internet, we can actually go on and make prayer requests on the internet. You can download a prayer app. I mean, talk about technology. Unity has always been open to providing more opportunities for people to connect with Spirit, to connect with prayer, to connect with their higher self. All of these ways of connection, they're all just mediums for that opportunity to do just that. But that's not the only ways we connect. Here at Unity in Marin, we utilize prayer. In meditation, we come together to worship together. We have classes and workshops, all kinds of opportunities for us to connect. Because I believe the ultimate desire for each of us is to come into conscious unity with God, with our higher self, with our Christ self. You put the label on it that you're comfortable with. But the higher self, to come into conscious unity. And I look at spiritual masters, present and past. I look at people like Jesus, who we look at as an elder brother, as a teacher. And how did he utilize prayer? Did he utilize prayer? Well, it says this in the book of Mark. He said, in the morning, while it was still very dark, he got up and went out into a deserted place, and there he prayed. Time after time after time, in those holy writings, it talks about Jesus going apart for a while. Going apart, I believe, to pray, to ground, to reconnect, to meditate, and then come back filled up. Because he made that connection with his higher self, with his spiritual self, with God. Now, why is it important? Well, even the Buddha, it says this about him. He says, the Lord sat cross-legged in one posture for 7 days at the foot of the tree of awakening, experiencing the bliss of freedom. So why do it? Who wants to experience the bliss of freedom? Okay. When we connect with our true self, that's what we experience. There's that bliss, there's this knowingness, there's this love. Well, why is this connection important? Other than having that feeling. Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, talks about the idea of healing. And all of us have something to heal. Be it mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, something in our past, something that's happening right now. We have opportunities to heal. And he says this, that all healing methods, whether applied to self or others, consist in establishing the unity of the individual and the universal consciousness. Then the first move in all healing is a recognition that God is present in all powerful mind. That's Charles Fillmore's way of saying to connect with the ultimate, to make the ultimate connection. When we peel away the personas, we have a realization of our true nature and connection with the Christ mind, our spirit, God, our true source. I don't call this the internet. I call it the inner net. I want us to connect with our inner net as much as we spend time connecting with and on the internet. We would all be spiritual masters if we spent as much time focused on that connection as we do being on the computer or the phone or the text or the tweet or whatever. Because when we connect with our internet, that wireless communication, then we recognize we have the power to shape our responses to life. That the experiences of life do not dictate how we show up. That we have the power to shape the experiences that happen. We have the power to respond to what happens instead of reacting to what happens when we are connected with our inner net. We have the power to judge not by appearance, but to judge with right judgment when we are connected with our inner net. When we hear the statement, Christ in me, the hope of glory, Christ in you, the hope of glory, what it's really saying is your higher consciousness is the hope of glory. You'll get more joy, more satisfaction, more peace by connecting that to that inner net than we ever will connecting to the internet. And when we know the truth, we know that truth of who we are, that is the truth that sets us free. You've heard it said, know the truth and the truth will set you free. This is the truth. When we connect with our inner net, our inner knowing, our higher self, that is the pathway to happiness. Amen. When I compare the evolution of consciousness with the evolution of computers and networks, I see it very similar. Again, the whole thing with computers was this desire to connect, and then to connect a little faster, and then more, and want to be all connected. The same thing's going on in our consciousness and our desire to connect with spirit. If we look at it like this, there was a time we had a desktop computer. And we thought that was it. You know, everything happens here. I'm just connected. It's just me and my desktop computer. That's how we tend to think of our mind, right? It's just here. I mean, it's got my computer. It's right there. We don't think we're connected. But the truth is, we've always been connected, not only to that small group of people that we're really connected with on a one-on-one basis, but we are connected with everyone. Because I am connected to you and you are connected to me. And we are connected to God. As Jesus said, I am in the Father's in me, and I am in you. We've always had that connection. So what we have to do, our spiritual evolution is dependent upon going from this consciousness of just thinking I'm a standalone computer to recognizing that if that's mind, divine mind is the internet. The internet, because I can connect to everyone and everything, and I can connect to spirit through the internet. But what I have to do is to get over that idea that I'm just a standalone computer sitting in my home and I'm not connected to anybody else. That's when we think, well, it's just me, just what's going on in my mind. I'm not really connected to anybody else. Now, if 20 years ago I would have said you'd have a computer, for one, and that you'd be connected to everyone in the world, you would have thought I was crazy. Well, I'm saying the same thing spiritually that mystics have been saying for centuries, just using this modern analogy, that you are not a standalone computer. You are not a standalone person. You are connected. You and I are connected. All of us are connected, and we are connected to God, and we are connected in this wireless communication network that will never go down. When other people may be freaking out because their phone ran out of battery and you're in bliss, because you're not relying on that piece of technology for your happiness, then truly you have entered the kingdom, entered the higher consciousness right here and right now. But it takes time for us to get used to this idea. Just like it took time for us to go from the computer to dial-up, to networking in the home or in the business, to all of a sudden networking in the area, and then networking in the world. All of those were discrete steps that took place. So I want us to be gentle with ourselves as we start to expand our consciousness and recognize that we are all connected. We may think, well, this is kind of tough. That may be because we're still in the dial-up part of our consciousness, right? But it is available to us. We have to flex those muscles. We have to be open, willing, and receptive to connecting with our higher self and our higher consciousness. Because when we do that, when we're doing prayer, we're doing meditation, we're going to worship services together, we're going to classes together, we're reminding ourselves that we are connected to divine mind. It's not a sometimes I'm connected, it's an everywhere I'm connected. It's not like I'm going to be out of network somewhere. I don't get cell service out there. There's no out of network when we connect with our higher self. Now, I know I've become quite attached to this cell phone. And it can go off. I've got it completely off now, or we'd be distracted throughout the whole service from the amount of times an email pops up or a Facebook message pops up or anything, or I get a phone call, a tweet, whatever. This thing keeps going on and on and on. So what I've tried to do now is to remind myself of how many years I went without it. And that it's okay for me to put it down and actually go out and walk the dog. I'll be gone for 15 minutes, but it'll seem like I'm on vacation because I'm not like tethered to, look what so-and-so's having for breakfast. So can we put it down? Can we put it aside? Can we spend some time on the internet connection, at least part of the time on the internet, and not be so focused on I'm going to miss something? When we're totally in this, we're missing something, all right. We're missing that connection to our higher self. And if it seems scary to say, well, I'm going to put this down, which I'm actually going to do because I'm going on retreat for another 4 or 5 days after today's service, I'm putting it down. If it sounds scary to ask you to put it down for a day or so, then I definitely think you should. Knowing you'll come back to it. And I know I'm going to come back to it. When the retreat's over, I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to get all those messages. But here's a practice that I believe has helped me, and I hope it'll help you, to really connect with the internet, utilizing the internet. And here's what I do. Whenever I get a message or the thing dings, I get an email or Facebook post, before I look at it, I keep a gratitude list. I think of one thing I'm grateful for. I'm grateful it rained last week. I write that down. Next time I hear that ding on my computer, first thing I do is go to gratitude. Because I believe the more I'm in touch with that first, that's a daily practice, an hourly practice, a minute-by-minute practice. The first time I did it, my list is like this long. And I'm like, whoa, I'm getting a lot of these messages. But now I'm taking all that and I'm turning it for my highest good right away. So it's a practice I offer you to try. And if you say it's too burdensome because you're getting too many messages, I say try harder. Because it will be a reminder that you and I are connected to our inner net. And that is the greatest connection. That is the ultimate wireless connection. For the ultimate connection is connection to the ultimate.
Hi, I'm Jenny Hahn, and I'm an artist. And Unity has had a huge impact on my life for many years now, and has really infused my thinking and my awareness with positivity, with healing, with empowerment. The message has become a part of my day-to-day life and really has helped me to grow out of my own shell, to pursue my creativity free from negative thinking, from limitation. And I worked here at Unity Village for many years and continue to go to Unity services and just to soak up the positive energy that's here on the grounds and that you find at any Unity service online or in person.